Thank you for joining us at the
Of course.
SPRTER Podcast.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
Great. Let me introduce you to our audience first. So my name is Tilo, the founder of the SPRTER app, and I'm hosting all of the podcasts. I'm super excited to be welcoming Layla Meric, who is a freshman college player at Appalachian State University. In her high school career, she was amongst the highest ranked recruits in the state by the Tar Heel Youth Golf Association, runner-up of the 3A state championship as a senior out of high school, and a four-time top 20 finisher at the 3A state championship. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also want to make sure to mention Layla's experience store that's available exclusive on the SPRTER app, where all of you can book some amazing experiences with her, improve your golf swing, personal Zoom calls, all of those aspects to get to know her better, as well as to improve your game. So let's dive into the podcast. Let's learn a little bit more about yourself. Walk me through, how did you start golf? What made you love the game? Because someone who is as good as you needs to love the game in order to be that good. Walk me through.
So I started playing when I was 5 years old. So I'm about to turn 19. So I've been playing for about 14 years. I really didn't start playing in tournaments until I was about 10 years old. And really, I played every single sport imaginable. Every single sport goes from volleyball, basketball, everything. And none of them really fit. And I think it was just because I loved being outdoors, and I loved being the one who could be in charge all the time. And I think that was my favorite part of it. My dad, he also pushed me to love the sport as well. Nobody in my family plays, but we just started going to the range all the time, practicing all the time. And he really pushed me to get where I am today. And so I think I just fell in love with the sport over the years. Yeah.
That's interesting. You said no one in your family plays, but your dad pushed you. So did his
Yes.
game improve along the way as well, or did you just show him around?
No one plays. My brother, he's kind of plays, but my dad grew up, both of my parents are from Croatia. So my dad played soccer and he skied in Croatia. My mom also played soccer, and then my brother played basketball and football. So I'm the only golfer in the family. It was just a weird coincidence, really.
That's really interesting. And at what time? You said you started playing tournaments at 10. What time did you realize I want to play tournaments, I want to compete, and you're like, hey, I'm actually good at this. I'm actually really good at this. What time did you think, you know what, I could go to college with this. I could compete.
So I started playing tournaments when I was 10, but I think it got to my freshman year of high school where things really started settling in and things got real. And I was like, I need to start hunkering down. Like, I need to start playing really well. So I started, I went through NCSA and I started making like a recruitment profile, and no colleges reached out to me within, I think, the first 2 years. I was really reaching out to them. And I think just playing with tournaments and keeping up with tournaments, I played around 2 or 3 tournaments every single month. And so that's like already 2 or 3 weekends like out. So literally, and that was year round. So I was constantly playing golf, and I started getting good over the years. And so I think it was around my junior year where I started getting more offers from like smaller like D2 schools and a couple of like D1 schools. And that's when everything started getting really like um and that's when I also committed right within my senior year. And so it was just, everything happened really, really fast as soon as like coaches started coming up to me and talking to me.
That's interesting. Now, you being basically competing every 2 out of 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, weekends a month, it's a big commitment. We see that with a lot of athletes that are like, well, I basically didn't have the youth that some of my peers had. What are the things that you feel like you missed out on, or what are some of the things you are like, I actually don't really feel like I missed out on because I got something different?
So it was hard to adjust to everything, especially when you're in high school. I feel like you miss out on a lot of things, especially with friends, but it comes to a point where you have to prioritize things. And I had to prioritize golf and school, that because that's what I wanted my future to be. I wanted to play golf in college. So it was kind of a hard pill to swallow. But looking back on it, I don't regret going to tournaments with my parents every single weekend. I mean, I had a blast. I traveled all along the East Coast, even sometimes to the West Coast, and I absolutely loved it. But junior year, everything started getting hard because I took AP classes, like some community college classes, and I was gone. I really didn't have a good friend group, and that's also when COVID hit for me. So I
Hmm.
also had to stop playing golf and for a little bit in tournaments, but I was able to still go to the golf courses since I'm in North Carolina. None of the golf courses closed, so it was perfect. But really, I don't think I really missed out on a lot. I still had a bunch of people who supported me through everything, but I mean, I loved playing golf, so I don't think I missed out on anything.
Awesome. Now, partly what you just mentioned here, as in COVID shut down a lot of competitions. Now, golf was one of the first ones to be, call it, back on, because it's outside, you can do it socially distanced, and it's grown a lot over the last years. How do you see the change of golf, of the golf industry over the last few years?
Really, I don't think it's changed at all. I think COVID hit in March and I started playing in tournaments again in May. Nothing really changed. Really the only thing that changed was you couldn't really pick the flag sticks out. I think golf, like college golf, was different because I remember my other teammates, they were talking about tournaments last year. They all had to play in one group, like as a team, and then they would keep each other's scores, and that's how it happened. But honestly, I think COVID, depending on what state you were in, because I think the rules were different,
Yeah.
golf courses could close down. But especially in the Carolinas, not like golf courses didn't close down. So for me, I was able to get better because all I did was go to the golf course. That's all I did. That I just was practicing all day long. But I think for maybe that summer, maybe it changed a little bit. But after then, like it literally went right back to normal. Nothing really changed.
Okay, that's awesome, and that's one of the sports that I think we've seen the least impact on, which is great. Now, you said you committed to Appalachian. What made you, what, how did you come to that decision? As in, there are other schools around the nation that probably need good golfers.
Yeah. So I wanted to stay close to home. And there's a bunch of schools in North Carolina and South Carolina, but Appalachian, it's a D1 school, and I love my coach. I think she's just really supportive, and I love the school. You have to come to Boone, North Carolina, just to see like what's around, and you have to come to campus. And as soon as I step foot on campus, I knew that this was home. I had a couple other offers and I had to pick between a couple schools, but it just felt right. And I think that's when, like with any recruit, you can go to so many places, but there's just going to be one school that feels right.
I can see that, and sometimes it's just like what made the decision. You're like, I can't put my finger on, but it just feels right. We hear that a lot. Now when you say, obviously you it's almost the first year's almost over, right? So we're
Yes.
like hitting final seasons. Um, you How did you adapt to college, and what do you study? How do you balance your studies with your training, and how did you adapt to the first year of college?
So, first semester, so that's our fall season for golf. We have a double season, so we practice and have tournaments in fall and spring. So fall was a little less hectic. So I think that was a good entryway into college because we still had practices that were about 3 or 4 hours long, but at the same time, that was also my easier semester with classes. So going through and adapting with that, I think that really prepared me for this semester. And this semester has been really, really hard with classes in golf because we've been gone literally every single weekend, especially in March with tournaments, and we're in Boone, so we have to travel down 40 minutes every single day to go to a golf course because all the golf courses in Boone are closed. So really, you're just pushed into it. There's no way to prep for it. I have friends that play golf in college that are older than me, and I asked them, I was like, I don't know how to prepare for this. You get pushed right into it, and you kind of just have to adapt, and that's what it is like being a college student athlete. That's with everyone. Nobody can prepare you for it, only you can. And I know with some people it doesn't work out, but you have to prioritize certain things. And for me, like it was prioritize school and golf. And once those are taken care of, I can go and do whatever else I want to do with my free time. But looking back on it, I've had a bunch of free time with days that I've had off, or even if I come back early with if I don't really have any homework left, it's pretty easy to make time for those around you and to do things that you like to do. But I'm studying political science, and so I haven't started with my major classes yet, but I've always been a good student, and so really, and my parents have taught me that to always keep on top of everything and make like a good plan of what you want your week to look like. So I usually try to knock out everything during the weekdays so that I have the weekends off at least, and I don't really have to do anything.
And that's very rare to be able to do that and to be that organized. Now, how's your cultural background? Your parents being from Croatia. I'm originally from Germany, so
Okay.
I understand a little bit of a European approach is a little bit different as well. So how does that impact you, as well as sometimes we hear a lot like these immigrant parents, like, we came here, you need to make it. So how does that put pressure on you as well as positively impact you?
That's exactly how my parents were. They've been living in the United States for, I want to say, about a little less than 20 years, but they've supported me through everything and they've pushed me, and my parents are extremely hardworking. I mean, they came here with absolutely nothing. And they did the same for my brother. My brother graduated from NC State a couple years ago, but the culture is definitely different, and I was born and raised here, so going home and going to a family that speaks Serbo-Croatian but going to school where everyone speaks English, it's very different. But it really opens your eyes, because I'm so proud of my background, and I love my parents because they've raised me in a very special way, and they've taught me how to be hardworking, how to be productive, and I love them to death. But they have pushed me insane, and my mom has put a lot of pressure on me, more than my dad, as far as like academics go, but then my dad has put a lot of pressure on me as athletic goes. So growing up, yes, I know, so I have both. So it was definitely hard growing up when I was only 10 and I had to go play a bunch of tournaments. I really didn't understand what I was doing, but looking back on it, I thank them every day for it, because I wouldn't be where I am without them. And yeah, I love my culture.
That's amazing. We always see that with immigrants' parents. They're really pushing very hard, but then
Yes.
it often means that like as an athlete, you kind of need that structure, and you need that structure in your life to be able to balance school and I guess athletics as well.
Yes.
So that makes a big difference. I want to tap into something else that we've been talking a lot in the recent years: name, image, and likeness. Now, obviously, you just joined university. It basically, at the time when it started to be allowed, like, all right, it's the Wild West, everything is happening. How do you see support from the university? What has changed for you?
So it's really not the university. I think it's more NCAA that kind of controls everything. Um, I'll be brutally honest, they make it extremely hard for like companies to support you and that stuff, because there's so many fine like rules and fine print, and there's just pages and pages and pages of what you can't do. There's not really a lot of what you can do. So you have to be very, very careful. And App State, I can't use like my merch or the logo or anything when it comes to like taking pictures or whatever. Um, so but I am a Barstool athlete, and I think that's probably the easiest one to be a part of when it comes to student athletes, because they really understand what you can do. But as far as like, I've been just trying to settle it down and trying to find out if what kind of companies I do want to support me and what I want to be a part of. So I think if I do start teaming up with a company, I hope that it's going to be over the summer and next year. But thankfully, our college, they also have like a lot of, how do I say this, presentations of going through all of the lists, and they make it really simple. So if you ever need help with it, there's always help to be given.
Okay, that's great to get that support from the university. And yes, the NCAA is certainly, it's not the easiest to navigate, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you're a Bastool athlete. What does that mean? What does Bastool do for its Bastool athletes?
It really doesn't do much. It's just like a fun community to be a part of, because there are so many student athletes that are a part of it. You kind of get merch sent to you every now and then, and you get to wear it. It's like free clothes. But other than that, like once you're posted on the website, it kind of gives like free reign to you and to other companies. So like you kind of get companies texting you and that stuff. And also like it kind of gives you popularity in a way, because people are like, oh wow, she's a Barstool athlete, she's affiliated with them. So they really don't do much as far as like trying to connect you with people, but I think it's just like a fun community to be a part of.
Okay, that's great. And obviously they have a large reach as well.
Hmm.
And I can see that in terms of that popularity and connection. Free merch is always good.
Yeah, yeah.
Too. Now, on the SPRTER app, I saw a recent post of yours and it says every day is Earth Day, and you also say you're passionate about the environment. What does that mean to you?
I grew up in a pretty large city. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and there's a lot of trash everywhere. And growing up, my mom and my dad, they've very been like they always go out and they pick up trash on their own, but they're also very like conscious of the environment because climate change is real and it's only going to get worse as far as like it goes. I mean, we like one day it could be snowing and the next day it could be sunny and 80 degrees here. Like you never really know. So I think taking care of the environment is a very, very big thing to me. And I just want to spread it around because I think like more people need to know that climate change is real and it is happening. And we just need to know that change needs to happen right now.
So you want the world to be around in a few years? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, yes,
I'm in the
definitely.
same boat.
Yeah.
I fully agree. Now, another cause that you said you're passionate about is gender equity. And I know that golf isn't notoriously the most friendly environment for females. There seems to be some change over the recent years. Have you ever experienced any, I don't want to call it discrimination, but let's call it discrimination.
I've
And have you seen some efforts being made to improve the situation?
I've never seen discrimination on my part, but looking out and like looking at really big tournaments like the Masters, like Augusta National, they don't let women. I think until a couple years ago they didn't let women play on the golf. They don't even have like a Masters for women, and I think that's just like that's a big example of like how we're not on the same level. As far as pay goes, I'm pretty sure that women don't get paid. Women golfers, they don't get paid nearly as much as male golfers do, and that goes with every single sport. I mean, if you look up the salaries and you compare them, they're gonna be exponentially different than the men's salaries. But as far as golf goes, like growing up, there's been a wider range of tournaments and different um what's the word? Not companies, but I guess companies that have been hosting tournaments that I've been able to play with. There have been a wider range, and so no discrimination there. But I think really as salary goes, I think that's where it kind of happens is where women are paid significantly less, especially with I mean just men in general. Like look at Tiger Woods and I guess like Brooks Koepka. You hear their names constantly. You never really hear female names anymore. So I think it's really that's just how it is, and hopefully it'll change, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Now, we do have a segment that we call Pro Advice, where we ask our audience to send us some questions to ask you as the pro, or, you know, pro. Now you're allowed to be, I guess, are you allowed to be called a pro even in college? I don't know. But let's call it pro, at least from a skill perspective. So we asked them to send you the question. First one is, I have rounds where I play really well, and once one shot goes poorly, I lose it and can never recover. How do you deal with something like that? Or how can I, in this case, deal with it?
So every single round you're gonna have a bad shot, but then you're also gonna have a really, really good shot. So really, and then you're just gonna have a bunch of mediocre shots in the middle where you're just trying to get the ball into the hole. So that's kind of the way I look at it. You go up onto the tee, I have no idea what's gonna happen on this hole. I like to plan out, and this is what I would like to happen, and this is what I'm going to try my best to make happen. But honestly, you might go out there and you might shank one right into the water, and you just have to live with that. You can't get mad because you have so
That's
much
me.
more. Yeah, you have so much more golf to play. So we've talked about this like in team meetings with my team all the time. You can't get mad if you hit one bad shot because it's bound to happen that you're going to hit a bad shot. You just have to calm down, take a deep breath, and then see what can I do here to make it better. Is there any way I could reverse this, maybe hit an amazing shot and try to make this even better. But there's no point of getting really angry and really frustrated, especially when you have the whole rest of the hole, or maybe it's just your last shot. There's no point of getting frustrated when you have so much more golf to play.
No, that makes a lot of sense. The second submission we have is, I'm having serious issue with slicing. Is there any advice you can give me to help with that?
Mainly with slicing, hooking, it's mainly your body's not in tempo. So if my body's not in tempo, what I like to do is I say 17 in my head. So I say 7 on my backswing, and then teen is when I need to make contact with the ball. And usually that gets my body, my arms, my hips, everything in line. And then usually that will stop slicing. I give that to one of my teammates. She was having issues with her driver, so I told her to give her that, and she started hitting the ball straight. So really, you just need to put your body in tempo, and that's when everything. It's also in the head. If you're constantly thinking, I'm gonna slice this, you're gonna slice it. So instead of you say, I'm gonna hit this straight down the fairway, you're gonna hit it straight down the fairway.
Okay, so you're coaching here as well. So anyone needing to have trouble and fixing your slicing, right here. Now also, when you're coaching with teammates, what is some of the best advice that you've received from either a coach or a teammate that helped you with one specific thing where you're like, I can't get it right, and it was exactly that, hey, do this, and it worked?
So my assistant coach, Savannah Wood, I was with her. We just came back from our conference tournament yesterday, and it was after our second round. I was just having trouble, like a little bit of trouble with my putting. It was really, I have a mental one, but then I also have a physical one. This is gonna be physical. And it was really, I was just having trouble with my distance. And she was like, imagine, it was a longer putt. She was like, imagine that you're throwing a ball. You're not gonna think of how hard you need to hit it. I mean, not hit it, throw it. You're not gonna walk out the distance. You're not gonna do that. You're really just gonna look at it and say, this is kind of where I need to throw it, right? So she was like, act like you're doing that when you're hitting a putt. So she was like, whenever you're taking a couple practice strokes, look at the hole and try to make a good feel of how far your backstroke needs to go, and then just follow through with the ball. And that really helped me, because with longer putts, I struggle on my distance. I always think that I'm going to hit it too short, or I'm just going to blast it past the hole. So that really helped me. Mental goes, just stay calm. That's really all it is. That's what it is. You're going to have a bad shot every now and then, but you're also going to have a great shot. And my parents always told me, and my coaches, you have so much more golf to play. Just relax, have fun, and enjoy the game.
That's a really good advice. You have so much more golf to play. That's a really good point. It makes a lot of sense. Now, one thing that we see, obviously, golf is an individual sport, but you're also competing as part of a team. Where's their competition? Where's their support? And when does it flip?
So I think it kind of flips. I've really never seen like a lot of competition until it kind of comes to the last, like a couple tournaments where we have qualifying, where we need to go to a tournament. Our coach is picking our lineup. Really, are qualifying if there's two girls that are like on kind of the same level. If they're going for fifth, for whatever spot, usually it's fifth spot, but then coach is trying to figure out, that's really where you can see the competition kind of tends to rise. She'll usually put them in the same group, and that's like, it's kind of starts to get tense between them a little bit, because obviously they both want to go. But that's definitely where it goes. But it's really like, we don't compete, we work as a team, and so that's the best part. We don't really see a lot of competition between us.
So at the tournament, but actually to go to the tournament, you were like, what? I kind of want to go myself. So sorry, but not sorry.
At the tournament, there's no competition whatsoever between us, obviously with other teams, but between us, we're just trying to push each other and trying to make the best round possible.
Okay, that's awesome. That's a good team spirit, and the team itself, as well as the coaches, seems to be doing a really good job in keeping that alive.
Yes, they are.
We do have a segment we call Break the Rules. We ask you to make one rule change in golf that would make the game better. Now, better could be anything. Better could be more engaging, could be better for the players, could be better for the fans, could be anything. What is your break the rule?
Okay, so this was another rule that COVID kind of changed, but then as soon as COVID died down, they ended this rule. But we couldn't use the same like rakes in the bunkers because of like touch and that stuff. So it was, you could move your ball in the bunker like within a club length, and I would bring that rule back. I would absolutely love that rule, because so many times I've been in a person's footstep, or I've been in like a hole, like something like that, either I would do that in the bunker or I would do that in the fairway. Like if you're in a divot that you could move it. I think that's the rule I would like break.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool. So I am always going for something like, I kind of want a double, like 1 or 2 holes that count double, and you can place them, you know, like this whole
Yeah.
concept. But you got to announce it before the actual tournament. So that's something like, ooh, I kind of want that. But I do think that some of the other rules, I think the golf has so many awesome rules that you could twist and tweak here and there and make it really exciting for the fans as well. But then excitement for the fans often leads to frustration for the players, right? Because now you're like, oh.
I agree. I mean, we just came back from a tournament yesterday, like I said, and I was in a patch of roots, and my ball was like right in the middle of roots, and there was nothing that I could have done. Like either I moved it away and took it unplayable, or I just had to hit it, and I just decided to hit it. But like it's just like things like that where like a fan would get really excited, like, oh my God, how are they gonna hit the shot? But deep down, I was so frustrated because who wants to hit out of roots?
No one. Yeah. No, it's almost like in hockey where everyone wants to see the fight besides the person who's in the fight.
Right, exactly.
So I can see that. Now, we've talked a lot about change. We see golf as a game. You mentioned it evolved in terms of providing female access and so on. Your teammates support you. Has there been a role model in your career where you was like, hey, I want to emulate their game, or someone has been just someone to follow along? And what's that impact on them, on your career?
Well, I always say that my mom is my biggest role model just because she's really really outgoing, and she's a really hard worker, and she's come to me with every single tournament. Just both of my parents have, so they're definitely my role models. But as far as golf goes, I would have to say Michelle Wie. She's on the LPGA. I think she's my biggest role model growing up because I would watch her on TV all the time, and I'd be like, this is exactly what I want to do. This is what I want to spend my life doing. And that's really what pushed me. And I love Michelle Wie.
All the way to playing D1 golf. That's amazing. Like,
yes,
that type of impact on like young athletes is something we often underestimate in professional athletes. So it's important. Representation matters from a female athlete perspective as well, I think. So it's awesome to see that. And I'm sure down the road you'll be a role model for some of the younger generations as well. I know athletes, college athletes are oftentimes, you're getting involved with the community. You're sometimes meeting kids. Is that something that you have been getting involved yet at Appalachian State? Is that something you do? Is that something that the university pushes, or how do you go about that?
So definitely the university pushes community service. So as an athlete here, we have to do 4 hours of community service per semester. So just a couple weekends ago, we went to a prom that was only for kids with disabilities. And it was just really eye-opening because I loved working with them. But also when you go out in public, nobody knows that you're a student athlete or that you go to Appalachian State. But if I ever go out with a sweatshirt on, people will come up to me like, do you play golf there? And I'm like, yes. And people you don't even know, they're going to support you, which is crazy just because they love App State. They love the sport. So it's really been interesting. But I've also had girls that I used to play with in high school that are a little bit younger than me. They always text me, they're asking me how I'm doing. They come out to tournaments to watch me, and like it's great. I mean, especially like growing up and playing with the same girls throughout the years, every single one is going to support you and you're going to support them, and it's just great. It's like same with like you have a little community that's all supportive and they're going to support each other, which is great.
That's pretty awesome. You got your local fan club right there. That's fantastic. Now, when you are not a Bastool athlete, when you're not playing golf, when you are not on the SPRTER app, well, how do you spend your time? And particularly Appalachian State, I'm envisioning mountains, hiking, but you're outside so much with golf. How do you spend your time?
So this semester has been really, really cold. So I have not gone out that much outside of golf. But last semester I did go outside quite a bit. But I do have a really good group of friends, and they're so supportive, and I love them to death. And so if I have any free time, I'm always spending my time with them. They're just so supportive of golf and with everything else. I really don't have that much free time, but whenever I am, I'm always with them. And we always go to like King Street out to eat, like all that type of stuff. But also, as far as hiking goes, I absolutely love it. I mean, there's so many places in Boone to go, and it's just like a good spot to go hiking in, to go be outdoors and all that stuff.
You definitely talked it up, so I'll have to check it out at some point.
Yes, please.
So I appreciate your time. I know you're really busy. I know it's hitting final season, so I want to be cognizant of your time. I also want to remind all of our audience here to check out Layla's experience store on the SPRTER app, book some unique experiences with her there, improve your golf game, etc. So head over there, follow her along there, follow on all of the social medias. We'll link you out as well. And we are excited to be following along on your career, and good luck at the upcoming tournaments and with all of the finals, and have an awesome summer. Thank you so much for joining us.
I really appreciated this. Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you.
Yeah, really nice to talk to you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.